Now that you are familiar with in-text citations, I want to talk specifically to you about integrating quotes into your writing. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your sentence is logical and grammatically correct. When we look at that example, A is not grammatically correct. Notice this issue right here. It would only be grammatically correct if we change this to neutering. But when we just say people should neuter, all of a sudden the quote is integrated logically and correctly. The next rule we need to remember is to check our punctuation when we include a quote in our sentence. You can see from the example that when you're including a quote that starts with a capital letter, but you're putting it into the middle of your sentence, you need to indicate that you have changed the capital I for installing to a lowercase I. And the way that you do that is by simply putting square brackets around the changed letter. The next thing I want you to remember is that you always want to check for accuracy. You don't want to misrepresent the information in the original quote. When we look at this example, it says marijuana was capable of preventing blindness caused by glaucoma. If that's your original quote, and you have taken it upon yourself to only mention that marijuana was capable of preventing blindness, that's not quite the full story. Okay, let's practice. Test that knowledge. Look at question 1. Which student's essay has a quotation which is well integrated? If you guessed student A's integrated quote was the best, you were right. I hope you're able to spot the problem. It was right here. Notice how that is not grammatically correct, and it doesn't sound logical. For this next question, I'm wondering which amended quote is correctly done. Remember that we must show any change to the original quote with a square bracket. Student sample A is the correct answer. You'll notice that student sample B did not indicate that they added a word. You're free to add words, but you must indicate any change with square brackets. Which student is correct in this case? Take a close look at the ellipsis, the 3 dots. All that means is that you've taken out a portion of a quote, and you're free to do that, but there are certain rules. Student A is the correct answer. Notice that they did take out a few words from the original quote, and in the place of that, they put an ellipsis, those 3 dots. That just indicates that you have taken out a portion of the original quote. But the issue with student B is that they have put quotation marks around a quote, but it's incomplete. Right here, certain, what are they missing? Certain carefully defined medical conditions. All right, let's switch things up. This is a true or false question. This is an accurate use of the quote by a student. Take a minute and read it and see if it's integrated properly. If you guessed false, you are absolutely right. In this case, the student has misrepresented the information presented in the original quote. Cats are not the species found nowhere else on Earth. The original quote is mentioning that cats are particularly damaging in island ecosystems that are home to species found nowhere else on Earth. This will be the last question. True or false? Is this an accurate use of the quote by the student? First, read the original quote from the reference source, and then look at how the student has integrated it into their essay. The answer is false. You'll notice when you look at the original quote, it very clearly says will not use fur, whereas this student happened to put an ellipsis right here, which completely changed the meaning of the original. Okay, well, that's it for our questions. I just want you to remember a couple things. One, make sure that when you integrate your quotes, they are grammatically correct and logical. Two, if you change any words to make it fit in your sentence, indicate the change with square brackets. Three, if you take out some words because it was a little long, indicate that you've done that by including an ellipsis. And lastly, make sure that you have not accidentally changed the meaning of the original quote.